You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys. And today, I want to talk a little bit about route density, building routes, and quite honestly, just give you guys my story, the lay of the land of how we took our company from a kind of a struggling lawn care company with terms of profit, both from our routes and also our pricing, to a fairly profitable lawn care company and what we have going on today. And a lot of that is stemmed from the last 5 years, even like 10 years, getting our routes dialed in correctly. And by the way, as much as we have great routes now, we didn't always start there, right? In fact, there was some glaring things that I could have done a lot sooner to make more profit and to make more money with our lawn and landscape company that I just wasn't comfortable doing, including letting go of a certain route, getting rid of a couple different customers, how we went about doing that, and what we were really leaving on the table, which was more money to be made. So we're going to do a short and sweet episode here today. I want to talk to you guys about creating routes, what we did, maybe a couple of helpful tips here along the way, and it'll be a short and sweet, fun episode today. So guys, let's do this really quick. Before we do, let's hear from today's show sponsors, show announcements, and then we're going to come right on back.
Calling all landscape pros who want to get serious about healthy turf and a healthier bottom line. It's time to throw down new innovations. Built on 50 years of proven agronomic proficiency, Lesco fertilizers, control products, seed, and equipment are engineered to produce more resilient turf. We'll continue to bring new technologies, so no matter the day, you'll always bring your A game. Upgrade and outperform with Lesco. Visit siteone.com/Lesco today to learn more.
Don't look now, but some joker just stole your gear. Should have gotten Proven Locks, where Brian's 10 saves 10% at provenlocks.com. Now back to the show.
All right, guys. Well, let's just jump right into it. What I wanted to talk about for just a couple quick minutes here was how to build better routes and some different things that I learned along the way to help us become more profitable. Now, to take it full circle, maybe some of you guys are new to the show and you haven't listened in before, which we super appreciate that. Welcome to the jungle. The Fullerton Unfiltered podcast is all about helping you guys grow a more successful lawn and landscape company. Well, to take it full circle, my first 10 years in business weren't the most illustrious start for a lawn and landscape company. In fact, a lot of you guys listening in by 18, 19, 20, 21, 25 years old have already accomplished more than what I did by the time I was 30 with my lawn and landscape business. And I'm not jealous or envious or anything like that. I am encouraged. I am motivated. You guys are the future of the industry. And there's nothing, to me, there's more fun than to seeing a 19, 20-year-old out there kicking butt, taking names, and already doing in revenue what we did by the time we're 30. Again, I'm a big cheerleader. I love seeing all of you guys succeed and grow and crush it. And so here's what I wanted to talk about. What I at least had going for me decently was my route density. My pricing wasn't the best, but if I didn't have the route density, the hyper route density that we did have, I don't think we would have been in business very much longer, okay? We were, just to take it full circle, we had been in business for about 10 or 11 years. We found YouTube. We found what I call like the greater lawn care community, right? We found all of you guys on Instagram. We found all of you guys on YouTube. We started learning from some folks that had successful lawn and landscaping businesses out there. And then we also, more people jumped into that whole realm of doing social media. And I got to learn from so many more people about how they run their company. A year or two later, as I'm struggling with my lawn care company, but we're starting to dial things in a little bit more, my pricing started to get a little bit better. My business acumen, if you will, started to get a little bit better. I bumped into a friend of mine named Mike Bedell. And Mike Bedell really helped me understand from a practical sense, knowing my numbers, like my overhead, my costs, my per man hour rates, what I should be charging, how to bid in jobs correctly, how to navigate taxes, how to pay less in taxes, how to structure my company differently. So really, a lot of things have changed in the last 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, transformatively, to be honest with you. Well, to take it back, we ran our company, and I just knew from working at True Green that routes were life and death. Okay, when you're only dealing with a service or a product that has low margins, right? Let's say our service is lawn maintenance. It typically speaking can have low margins. Now, already, one little quick plug here. I want to talk about the rate increase letter. If you guys have not checked that product out, that's something that we make available on lawnpreneuracademy.com. It's a resource that you can invest and purchase. And when you download that, it's a template. You can plug in your company's name. You can email it, snail mail it, drop it off as a flyer in the mailbox. I don't care, to your customer to raise those rates. So that's something I had to do along the way, was to raise our rates. But that's where the rate adjustment letter, the price increase letter came from. That's at lawnpreneuracademy.com. Well, when we were building our routes, and we had low profit margin service like lawn maintenance, for example, or fertilizer service. Now, fertilizer, I would argue, is more profitable than lawn care services. But when I was working at True Green, so I have actually started working for True Green after I left Little Caesars. Had a little 4-year stint there as a store manager. It was fun times. Then I went into True Green. Now, I didn't know anything about the green industry other than mowing grass as a kid, like a lot of you guys. And then I started spraying lawns. I passed the 2A, the 2B, whatever those couple ag tests were. I got my applicator's license, I think it's called. And I was out there fertilizing lawns. I literally had no idea what I was doing. I went from applying to the job to 6, 8, maybe 10 weeks later having my applicator's license, and I'm spraying lawns. And I'm like, I went from slinging pizzas to slinging fert, right? In a matter of 3-4 months. It was absolutely crazy. Well, one thing that True Green was really, really good at, they're good at a lot of different things. But my story, my observation back in the day, this is circa 2005, 2004, 2005, 2006, something like that. They were really good at routes and building routes and route density. Now, they had great software to build their routes, but they also had something going for them called being a big freaking company and having tens of thousands of customers, right? Each branch was around here doing almost $1 million a month in revenue. Okay, so we're talking some pretty stout branches with, probably 20 different trucks that would go out. We would do, revenue per day, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a day, Monday through Friday. And if you hit your revenue production number by Friday, you had two options. You would earn time and a half and better commissions on Saturday, or typically, as long as the branch was on schedule, you didn't have to work Saturday. But a lot of guys always work. They just workaholics, myself included. I'm pretty sure I volunteered to work every Saturday because why would I not get an extra couple percentage commissions on my percentages and go work Saturday, make some more money, get some more hours, right? I was young. I was 19, 20. I didn't have anything going on, so I just worked. I work. So one thing that True Green, and I was always like an observer. Like I've been a people watcher. Some people are, some people aren't. Sometimes, you just go to the mall and you just look around and it's like the sea of humanity and you just watch people and you can learn a lot, sociology or psychology wise, just looking and staring and watching people and how they interact and how they talk and what people do and human nature. And I find that very fascinating. I don't know why. I just do. Maybe because I'm not necessarily a people person. I'm not a very big extrovert. I just enjoy watching people from the sideline and being like, man, people are weird. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe some of you guys can relate. Maybe some of you guys can't. But one thing I did observe working at True Green was their very, very, they were tenacious about their routes. They were very intentional. They were very thoughtful with their dispatch team, how they scheduled routes. If somebody had a gate that was locked in the backyard, you couldn't perform that lawn, you had 40 stops on your route that day, you didn't come back with 39. Okay, what you did is you called dispatch and they pulled a ticket forward from tomorrow's route or the next day's route, and they would bring that up one day ahead and they would schedule that for today's service. So there was no reason to not get your revenue goal in per day. Now, we would get out there at, 6 in the morning. I'd go pick up my truck. By 6:15, 6:30, we're at our route. So West Bloomfield, Michigan, Canton, Michigan, Plymouth, Michigan, Northville, Michigan, Brighton, Michigan. And by the way, my role, just so you guys know, my role was the fill-in guy. because I was the newest guy that had got hired in, right? So my role was to take the tanker truck out of the guy who called in sick, didn't show up because he's hungover, whatever that guy didn't show up. So every day, and by the way, there was no GPS back then. Okay. We had these route sheets, like the good old MapQuest route sheets. We had printed off paper route sheets. There was no laptops. There was no GPS. There was no smartphones where I could GPS to your house. That stuff was just kind of coming out. And for crying out loud, you probably had to pay for the data and the service back then. You know, cars and phones used to have to pay like $10 per month for GPS. Like you had to pay per text message. Some of you kids out there remember that, right? Like you had to pay for 500 text messages a month for $4.99 because you used to get free minutes and then charge for data. Nowadays, you get free minutes and you get free data and they just charge you a flat rate. But what a evolution of the cell phone industry over the years. But it used to be $10 a month for navigation for your truck or for your phone. Nowadays, you get all this stuff for free. Well, so I would come in almost every day to a different route, a different truck, learning new trucks, learning new routes, learning new roads. I mean, talk about Metro Detroit. I'm pretty sure I've circumnavigated the globe of Metro Detroit, at least up in the greater Oakland County, Livingston County area, the two counties that our branch was in and responsible for servicing, right? So the cool thing is, like, I actually got to see almost every single home, right? Almost every single backyard, everybody's pool, everybody's patio. I was observant. I'm like spraying the lawns and I'm like, damn, this house is $1 million. And this patio and pool, this has got to be $250,000. Like, snap a couple photos or at least remember it in my brain. And so when I build our dream home, I told Liz, I said, I can't wait to have the most bodacious backyard because I've been dreaming of mine, forever, right? Like I've seen literally probably 4,000 or 5,000 people's backyards and homes. I mean, doing 40, 50 routes a day, stops a day, right? Times 4 or 5 days a week. I mean, I've seen 5,000 people's backyards, and it was cool because I never really sprayed the same lawn twice. With fertilizer applications, you're out there every 25 to 35 days. Well, I never really sprayed another guy's route because there's 20 different trucks. And so every day, every week, I'm in a different truck and covering a different route. So it was actually a really, really cool learning experience. But one thing I also got to learn was the way they build their routes, the way that they would take cues from UPS or FedEx. I forget who it is, but they talk about how UPS they only make right-hand turns. You'll never see the UPS truck make a left-hand turn, if you will, because they go right, they hook right into traffic. They go down a quarter mile, they hook right into the next subdivision. It hooks right around to the next house. It hooks right to the next house. They're back out onto the road, only making right-hand turns because they can turn on red and make a right-hand turn up here in Michigan. So, and by doing that with, 25,000 trucks times 50,000 stops, a minute, gosh, we're talking millions of dollars that these trucks spend idling at a red light. So TruGreen took a lot of those cues and they would do a lot of that stuff. And it was just really, really fun to learn how to build routes and how to be the most profitable that you could. And so I chased the commission, right? I chased the money. I was like, okay, I'm going to do 40 stops a day. I'll even squeeze in 42 by going even, just hustling, man, just getting done by 3 or 4 o'clock and getting that commission on Saturday. So when I started my own lawn care company, at least one thing I did have going for me, not good pricing, by the way. I told you, we didn't figure out our pricing until about 4 or 5 years ago. And if your pricing's not there yet, get the rate adjustment letter that we have on lawnpreneuracademy.com. It's a plug and play resource. Send it out to your customers, bump the rate, $3, $4, $5, $10, right? 4, 5, 10, 20%, whatever you got to do, get those rates up. Well, when I started my lawn care business, I had realized, okay, I can't drive all the way across town. I need to be like TruGreen. TruGreen would have one truck, and each truck would have, 10,000 customers in that area, right? Or 1,000 customers in that area. And they would service the same, let's say 1,500 customers in that section of town, the north side of Canton, the south side of Canton, between these couple different mile roads. And I paid attention to the fact that all their routes had boundaries. Like, for example, if you guys know the area, there's Canton, Michigan. There's Michigan Avenue. And so from Michigan Avenue to Ford Road, it's a 2 or 3 mile strip all the way down to, Palmer or something like that, all the way to I-275. So it was this, 6 mile wide, 3-mile tall rectangle that was a route. Now, that's the south side of Canton, Michigan, where I live. And then if you go to the north side, the same thing. It was all the way up to basically Plymouth, Michigan, which is a couple miles north, but same north and south and east and west boundary lines. And so you would never see a True Green truck in the south side of Canton, 20 minutes away from the branch, do a lawn in Wixom, which is 5 minutes west of where the branch is. The branch is actually in Wixom, Michigan, but it wouldn't be 5 minutes down the road. You would never see the South Canton truck drive 30 minutes north back to Wixom to go spray some Wixom lawn. It would never happen in 100 years. I don't care under any circumstance. That truck is going to its route. It's not spraying something on the way. It's not spraying something on the way back. His first route, his first stop is, some Buffalo Wild Wings on Ford Road down there. That's his first spray. He's out there at 6:30. They would do a couple commercials. We'd start doing residentials all day. And then at 4 o'clock, boom, I'm back on 275, zipping back. So I talked about this on a video that we did on YouTube. There's still a couple good ones out there that I had. They're classics. They got like 100,000 views. It's route density. I also did another really good route density video. If you want to learn more about this topic, on Keith Kalfus's channel, we did another topic about route density. But the first thing was build your boundaries, right? Build those boundaries so you're not driving all around Timbuktu trying to mow lawns, lay fert, do landscaping jobs. Now, we're talking about lawn maintenance on this podcast right now. If you do landscaping and you got a $2,500 or a $5,000 job, you can afford to zip around town 10, 20, 30 minutes out in all the different directions because you're going to be there for 2, 3, 4 days, right? Lawn maintenance, we're talking $40, $50, $60 cuts. Maybe you got a $100 cut or something like that. Awesome. But you can't be driving 20, 30 minutes in between your stops. It's just not going to work that way because True Green realized the same thing that I had realized shortly thereafter, which was the killer of our service business was window time, right? We don't get paid to drive the truck around town. We get paid when we're actually doing productive work, which for us is mowing grass. If the mowers, look at you can talk all day long on podcasts, but the number one thing right in front of your face that measures the profitability of your company is the hour meters on the lawnmower. Period. Case closed. Everybody's like, oh, the hour meters are there for maintenance, for your hydraulic oil. Yes, that is true. Oh, the hour meter is there for the maintenance on your engine oil. Yes, that's true. Every 100 hours I change the oil, and every 250 and then 500 thereafter I change the hydraulic oil. Fair enough. For me personally, I had realized that the number one thing that's going to make my company money is how many hours I can log on that mower's hour meters of actual mow time, right? So what's the difference between a guy who has a company that has a lawnmower on it that does 250 hours on that hour meter per year, and then somebody who does 650 hours on their lawnmower per year? Listen, even if the guy who does 650 hours on his mower per year has crummier pricing by 10 or 15%, homie is still going to win the financial race about bringing in revenue for his company. Now, and I know some of you guys down south, you guys get to mow 8, 10, 12 months a year, and you guys log 1,000 to 1,500 hours per year on those mowers. It's just super simple math. I'm not a very intellectual person. I'm not a genius. I'm a very practical dude. I'm like, I got to work through problems. I had no coaches, no help, no mentors. Okay, what do I got to work with? Like, give me the raw numbers, right? I had just realized that if I can keep that mower moving, I will make more money. Now, if you can keep your mower moving longer than the other guy and at a better rate, well, now you have this exponentialism to your profitability. It's really, really that simple. So that was the number one metric that I used, which was keeping the mower moving. How do I keep the mower moving longer? I know it seems really simple. This is almost matter-of-fact conversation, right? This is almost self-evident conversation at this time of circa doing YouTube and social media and Instagram. Everybody talks about route density. But for us 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't say it was like this elusive topic. It was just something that wasn't very common knowledge, I guess. I mean, maybe to some of the guys that figured this out, but you had the margins 10, 20 years ago. Nowadays, the margins are a lot thinner because everybody's doing it, and that's fine. Or they're racing to the bottom of their pricing structure, which is not good. So you had to, by necessity, become more efficient. Now, I've heard somebody say recently that the problem with that is we all became more efficient, but we also didn't raise our rates. Just because you can do something more efficiently doesn't mean you should charge less money for it. In fact, you should charge more money for it because it's a premium. You're off the property quicker. The landscape job is done better and faster and quicker. That comes at a premium. I also heard somebody say you're no longer just trading labor and a skill set. You're also renting your machines nowadays because equipment is hard to find, which is a whole nother crazy topic. Like, even if you wanted to get a lawnmower at some places around the country right now, you can't because the availability due to COVID and the shortage, they're just not as abundant, right? So not only are you renting your service and your talent and your skill, but now you're also renting machines. So make sure you charge appropriately for that, right? So I don't have a ton of notes here, but the one thing I wanted to talk about was I had to really dial in our boundaries, our borders. Now, I know not everybody lives in subdivision America, and maybe you guys are a little bit more rural, or maybe you're in a greater metropolitan area. You can still apply the same principle, just I know a lot of you guys do on Monday, it's the north side of town. On Tuesday, it's the east side of town. Wednesday is the south side of town, so on and so forth. Or maybe Monday and Tuesday is the north side, and Wednesday and Thursday is the east side. And then Friday, you run around doing landscaping, weed pulling, maybe your lawn treatments, whatever. That's totally fine too. The bottom line is pay attention to where your customers are at. Whether you use a CRM and you plug in all your customers and you hit the routing tool, let that optimize it for you. See what it thinks is the best way to go, right? You might know that, hey, on Tuesdays at 7 is the NBA always plays. And so the north side of town locks up, and you don't want to be anywhere on the north side of town on Tuesdays and Thursdays because, basketball. Or Mondays and Thursdays, you got wrestling and Raw's War. I don't know if that's still a thing, but Mondays and Thursdays, the stadium fills up, and to get over through the other side of town, I got to cross through the stadium area. That's not going to be the best opportunity for you to mow your company at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the way back. Okay, well then stay away from that side of town on Tuesdays. The point is, look at your route, your business, draw it all out on a map, and figure out what are you trying to do. Where are you driving? Where can you shave off time from the window time, okay? Another thing too is with those hard boundaries, something that really helps out is this is what happens to a lot of folks, and this is the trap. This is really what snares up a lot of people is you get a customer who has a friend or somebody calls you and they're 20 minutes away from your core route of your business. And so what you do, and I've talked about this before, is you take on that customer and that's fine, and they're a $45 cut, and they're, a quarter acre lot or half acre lot. So on Wednesdays, you go do that quarter acre, half acre lot for $45, and it's a good customer, right? And what they do, and this sounds good, but it also could be your downfall. What happens is they're like, hey, my cousin, my sister, my nephew, my brother-in-law, whatever, they have a home about 15 minutes or 10 minutes north of you, right? Or north of that customer. So you're like, yeah, I'm trying to like get more customers, man. Let's do it. So your core route is 20 minutes south from the customer you have. Then you get a new customer 10 minutes north of there. So you're 30, 35 minutes away from your customers, from your core customers of your business. And so as you're a half hour north, you pick up this customer, it's another $30, $40 cut, whatever, it's awesome. And then what happens is many, many times that customer in between, your original new customer, they cancel, they quit, they cancel, they move, they fire you, whatever. And now you're stuck with this. Maybe you get this like $90 premium cut and you're like, dude, it only takes me like 45 minutes, bro. But like I bid it high because I didn't need it. I got it. But now it's like this $90 cut that you don't want to let go. But the problem is that it's 35 minutes away from the core of your business, right? It happens all the time. So what do? Do you cancel that $90 cut? You need the money, right? So here's what I'll say. You never would have this problem. I guess this heed my warning. You would never have this problem if you didn't take that first customer on 20, 25 minutes away from the core of your route. Now, I know some people like to argue, well, I like taking customers 25 minutes away because then it's going to help me build another route. It's going to help me build another section. Well, yes, but no. Those folks are talking about building routes with multiple crews and multiple companies. I'm talking about the owner operator here. You don't need to start expanding 30 minutes east, 30 minutes west, and try to pick up new areas of town, right? So let's not go from one ditch to the other, okay? That's what actually was one of my stories with my lawn and landscape business. So our whole core business is in a city called Wixom, W-I-X-O-M, Wixom, Michigan. And I actually, when I first got started with my lawn and landscape company, by the way, this cost me probably $250,000. Okay, I'm dead serious. I do very much believe that. When I got started in my lawn and landscape business, my first 4 days, Monday through Thursday, were right where I lived in Wixom, Michigan. My Friday route was actually where Rob lives. So Rob's mom, my foreman Rob, his mom, Darlene, they live in Heartland, Michigan. And in Heartland, Michigan, Darlene was my first customer over there. She said, hey, if you want to cut our lawn, you can have the business. Well, I didn't know I didn't know anything about route density. I was 19. I was just hungry. I'm like, dude, I need to make money. Well, as you can imagine, 25 minutes away to go cut one lawn, well, that's not profitable. I was smart enough to know, hey, coming over here for one lawn probably isn't worth it. Now, back in the day, remember context, I'm driving my brother's Dodge Durango SXT, which has a 5.3 liter V8 engine or whatever it is. That thing is sucking down fuel like the space shuttle, okay, on launch. Okay, it was a boat. It was like powering a Royal Caribbean cruise ship with the engines, okay? The cylinders were so big. This thing was a tank. It was like not miles per gallon, but gallons per mile, right? One of those deals. And so I got my little 5x8 utility trailer flapping in the wind like a flag in the wind off the back of this thing going 70 miles an hour on the highway with my little X-Mark Viking. And, I'm a Viking. I'm about to take over the world, right? Well, what I did was I got one customer, I got two customers, I got 10 customers. And over about, 3-4 years, we ended up having 20 to 22 customers over there. Now, that sounds great in theory, but the problem was that on Friday, I would go 25 minutes away. I'd start at 8 a.m. We would mow lawns. We would cut grass. But I would never be able to do any auxiliary services. I couldn't do leaf cleanups over there. It was just too far. I couldn't haul anything. I couldn't do snow plowing or snow removal. Back then I had snow blowers, right? It was a profitable day. I mean, we did $400 or $500 in revenue. Should have been $800, by the way. But here's what happened too. It was on Friday. And if I would get halfway through the day and we get a rainstorm, I would have to go all the way back over there on Saturday. Half hour there, half hour back. If the equipment broke down, the trimmer, the blower, the lawnmower, the X-Mark, if anything broke down, talk about taking your route too far out of town. My dealer Weingart's is 20 minutes, I should say, east of where I live in Wixom. Heartland, Michigan is 30 minutes north and west where I live in Wixom. So if I had anything break in Heartland, Michigan, I would have to backtrack a solid 45 minutes all the way back to Wixom and then another 15 minutes east, right, to Farmington, Michigan. So I would have to backtrack 45 minutes. If a deck belt broke, if a hydro belt broke, like the actual functionality of the mower moving left and right for the pumps, if I had to drive 45 minutes back east, pray that they had the part in stock, drive 45 minutes back west, I lost an hour and a half to 2 hours there of productive mow time versus if my mower goes down in Wixom, 15 minutes down the road is my dealer and 5, 10, 20 minutes at the dealer, 15 minutes back. I'm only down 30 minutes, 45 minutes at most. Or my storage locker now is home base. We probably have the part or the tool at my storage locker. We can be out of my route for 5 minutes, fix our part for 10, 15 minutes, be back into the route in 5 minutes. We have a half hour mistake, flat tire, broken belt, which we keep our belts with us. But you guys know what I'm saying. I remember this came to a head where my hydro belt broke on the front lawn of this house that I was doing. And I didn't have a belt. And another dealer nearby, they didn't have one for the X-Mark. So I had to drive 2 hours later, there and back, to get a belt from my dealer, to go all the way back to my route, praying to Jesus that my $6,000 lawnmower, my tent pole, my bread and butter, right, was still on that property. What if some dude came by, released the hydros, and just rolled that thing up on their mower or on their trailer and just jacked my $6,000 lawnmower? I told the customer, I said, hey, I got this thing that broke. I got to go get something. I'll be back in 2 hours. Can you just keep an eye on the lawnmower for me? It's just literally sitting in her front yard on the subdivision lawn. She's like, her name is Amy. She's a great lady. She's like, no problem, honey. Like, I'll keep an eye on it. But I didn't know to release the hydros. I guess I could have walked it back up on the mower. That would have been tough solo. But versus me cutting lawns where my dealer is, my route is, being there and back in 15, 20 minutes versus being there and back in 2 hours. So again, it cost me so much time and fuel, so much time and travel, so much time when I did have an employee with me in labor. That guy's sitting in the truck for an extra hour a day. Anything that ever break, it was a profitable route, but it wasn't profitable. So that's my point. Some of you guys have these outlier customers, these outlier routes. Well, I got a pocket of 3 and it could turn into 10. Okay, I get that, but it's been 3 years. You haven't picked up any new customers over there. Some other company has that area on lock, and you're swimming upstream, and you're not getting any new customers. Drop those 3, go back to the core of your route, and thicken in the middle of the route, right? Thicken in where you're doing the most of your services. For example, about 4 years ago now, I think it was, maybe 3, maybe 4 years now, we sold that route to another lawn care company. And I'll do a whole nother podcast about buying and selling accounts. But I sold that route off because it was profitable, but it wasn't profitable, if that makes sense. Like I said, we should have been doing $800 a day over there instead of, $450. But I couldn't do any cleanups. I couldn't do any aerations because by the time to get out there and back with 3 or 4 aerations, it wasn't profitable. We couldn't do any snow because it's a half hour away. I'm not taking the highway for a half hour just to go plow 3 driveways and then a half hour back. It just didn't make sense. So what did I do? About 4 years ago, I sold it off. Again, I'll cover that on another podcast another time. What I did do is I came back and I said, all right, we have our Friday route freed up. Let's thicken this thing up. So that's what I did. We ended up getting 13 or 14 new customers that next season, right off the bat, in another subdivision on West Park Road, a couple different subdivisions there. And that was my new Friday route. We ended up realizing that a half day with that new route was more profitable than a full day of the previous route 30 minutes away. And if I needed anything, my dealer's 10 minutes down the road, my storage locker's 5 minutes down the road. And now I can start marketing snow plowing services, which made us tens of thousands of more dollars because we could take on so many more customers with these 13 new customers back at home versus I couldn't offer any snow back 30 minutes away at this extended out, further outreach, outlier route that I had, right? So what we were able to do is, I can't quantify it. I'm sure I could spend some time figuring out the numbers, but by letting go of a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year route, we were able to put $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of work and business in our pocket per year back at home. By the way, we were now back in our town 4 or 5 days a week versus 4 days a week and 1 day out of town. We're back in our core area 5 days a week. Our truck was there 5 days a week, which means the amount of marketing was up 20% without any default of my own. I fielded 20% less phone calls from people that called me out of my route that wanted me to do work over there. And I'm like, hey, we're full, we're busy, right? So I don't mind the phone calls, but I couldn't do anything with them when they were a half hour away. The phone calls that we got back with that extra marketing because we're just physically in proximity back in my route ended up making us more profitable. And life is a game of these little inches. A life is a game of these 1%. And when you add them all up, that's going to make the difference between winning and losing, right? Between living and dying, right? So that was the point of getting rid of that route. So here's what I just try to challenge you guys. This time of year, take a look at your business. Take a look at your route. See what you got going on. Is there anybody you can drop? Is there anybody you can afford to let go? Any outlier customers? Listen, if you want to cancel a customer, the best way to do it is just to be honest. Hey, Mary, we were mowing your lawn for the last 2 years. We really appreciate the work. You have a beautiful property. I got to be honest with you. We're going to have to let you go. It's nothing on you. It's all on us. Just from a business standpoint, we're looking to shore up our route density to become more profitable. Our margins are thin any which way. But just to be honest with you, we really appreciate you as a customer. Now the better thing you can do is give them a referral of another lawn bro. Now you don't owe anybody that, so don't lose sleep over that. But if you want to just pass the baton to another company, that's fine. By the way, I don't care if you have to drop a customer in April, May, June, July, August, September. You have to do what you need to do to be profitable and not let your ship sink. Right? There's no etiquette there to making sure that your customers, your ex-customers are satiated to make sure that you get fed. Okay? Like you don't owe them anything. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, because be respectful, be smart, be a good businessman. You don't need somebody leaving you a 1-star review because you just dropped them cold turkey in June. Now, can you drop them in June? Yeah, it's not your problem. Now, if you want to make sure to hedge against that, give them a referral. Give them a couple week notice. Say, hey, Mary, this isn't working out for us, for our company. Don't sweat it. We're not going to drop you until the end of July. You got 6 weeks here to find another service. That would be the respectful thing to do. Don't cancel them on a Monday when their mow route is on Wednesday. Okay, don't do that. You're going to get a negative. You're going to get a 1-star review. That's not cool. Okay, try to line up another lawn bro. By the way, try to sell that route. Right, I'll talk about that in buying, selling accounts. I sold that route off for a couple grand to my friend. It was no sweat off my back, no sweat on off his back. It was very profitable. He picked up that route the next week, didn't skip a beat. And all of my customers, 22 out of 22, transferred over to my friend. And he was mowing grass, making money on those routes the following week. It was beautiful, right? So last thing I'll say is just pay attention to your company, make these boundaries, evaluate things. Maybe you can raise your rates like I was talking about on your customers, and maybe 5 or 10% fall off, but you're still making the same amount doing less work, right? Or you're doing more work and making more money by just raising the rate. See if there's a couple customers that you can raise those rates and then cancel an outlier. Okay. This time of year, it just takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Think about your customers. Think about what lawns you don't like. Think about what customers maybe you don't like. They're not bad people. You're not a bad person thinking that way. It's just, there's lawns that we have that grow too fast. And I don't care how many times I double cut, the lawn is a jungle every freaking time because they put down too much fert. They built their home on top of a septic, tank and well, or some weird, natural habitat. Just weirdo things. Sometimes their lawn just is just nasty. It's weeds. Why am I even doing this? This doesn't fit the profile or the portfolio of the customers I want to do work for, right? Like that kind of stuff. Dude, you are in charge of your business and your future. You don't have to do anything longer than you need to, longer than you want to. Maybe this is some confidence for you guys to cancel a couple customers. Okay. That is the most fun thing you can do in your business besides making money is tell people no. And I know it sounds kind of weird and it's not coming from this egotistical thing, but I'm just telling you, like, don't do things you don't want to do. You're not obligated to do it. You're like, oh, I picked up this customer and it was my first customer 7 years ago. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have got the church. And I got this church and it's a $300 weekly cut, but I don't want to cancel that lady because she got me the church. So I feel like I got to keep mowing her lawn, even though I don't make any money on it because my business is more now by this church and my route is over here. So I'm obligated. No, you're not. I used to feel that way and think that way. But the reality is like, it's a tough conversation to have, but no, if that customer doesn't fit into the portfolio now, unfortunately, I'm sorry, let me refer you to somebody or let me let you down easy and give you an 8-week window to find a new service. Okay. You have to be mature with these kind of conversations. Okay. Here's what I will say. By doing all this stuff, you know what it did for us? It got us exceedingly profitable. It helped us to start making way more money because we weren't driving around as much, right? Back to True Green. We had way less window time. I didn't have as many issues with window time when I was driving 45 minutes there and back with a route that was out of town. We were able to thicken up our route because for that extra hour every week, we could have been mowing for an extra hour, making 60, 80, $100 an hour, right? So that was leaving me on the table $2,600 a year. If it was 26 weeks at an hour a week, right? We're leaving all this money on the table by not just being back at home and thickening up our route. Okay, so all these little things are just something that I wanted to just talk about, have a quick conversation about route density. Sometimes we keep the conversations light and fluffy, and we're cutting up with some of you guys that call in for guest interviews. Sometimes we're talking business. We got to make money, and so when I was able to dial in my route density more and more and more. And then I was also to raise my rates more and more and more. Okay. It's been a transformative process about where a company is profitability wise just 4 years ago to where it is today. I mean, it's absolutely insane. If you guys are tired of just not having the margins, not having the profit at the end of the day, and you're just dealing with all this unprofitable work and routes, or maybe your mow crew, evaluate it, look at it. I mean, there shouldn't be any reason a single guy, solo operator, shouldn't be doing $400 to $500 a day in gross revenue by himself. There shouldn't be, in my opinion, any reason that a tandem team, 2 guys, you and a guy, I don't care if they're both employees. I'm not talking an owner and an employee. I'm talking about 2 employees, shouldn't be doing $750 to $1,000 a day gross revenue with a mow crew. No, there's no doubt in my mind. And frankly, I don't know. Most days we do $900 to $1,100 a day. I know on Monday and I know our Thursday numbers. I mean, we're doing $900 to $1,100 easily by 3:30, 4 o'clock. And I put it on Instagram all day long. And I'm not a hero. We're not special. Nothing like that. We're Forrest Gumping our way to the finish line. I talk about all the time. But that's where I want to see you guys get to. You know, people are like, well, mowing's not profitable. I disagree. I think you make a lot of money mowing. And you know what? It served us really, really well. And in tandem, you start adding the extra services with our route density, the leaf cleanups, the aerations, the snow removal, right? It's exponential dividends and exponential profitability for us by getting those routes figured out. So any which way, not to be the dead horse, just to bring it to the front of your mind. Take a look at your route. Take a look at your customer list. Prune a couple people. There's a great book out there called The Pumpkin Plan. You can always check that out on Amazon. It really helped me with learning how to double down on the customers that are helping me win and prune the customers that are sucking off the fat of the land and they're not as profitable. Okay, so that's what I got. We also got those couple great videos on YouTube. Just type in Route Density Brian, Route Density Keith. They should come up right on up on YouTube and check those out. Get serious about this topic. It can pay huge dividends for you for years because now we're banking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in profit versus back in the day wondering, hey, when is this thing ever going to be profitable? And so my goal is to help you guys grow, shave some years of these lessons that you got to learn the hard way by learning them from us. My friend Paul Jamison and I, we talk about this all the time on our podcast. Let our ceiling be your floor. Okay, that's what we're really excited about. So, guys, that's what I got on today's episode. Just a short and sweet one here. I hope you guys are enjoying the day, whatever you guys are doing, mowing, landscaping, all that fun stuff. Think about this topic about route density for a little bit today. Maybe go home, re-listen to this podcast, take some notes. There's a lot of good stuff baked into this one. Just kind of free throwing over here, and no notes on my end. But this is the stuff that I'm really passionate about: is profitability, productivity. And I owe a big nod to True Green back in the day about learning how they built their routes and making money because it was a very profitable venture working with those guys and for those guys. So, guys, that's what I got for you on today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us those all-important ratings and reviews. We really do appreciate it. And again, this was another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, guys. We look forward to catching up with you here on the next one.
Calling all landscape pros who want to get serious about healthy turf and a healthier bottom line. It's time to throw down new innovations. Built on 50 years of proven agronomic proficiency, Lesco fertilizers, control products, seed, and equipment are engineered to produce more resilient turf. We'll continue to bring new technologies, so no matter the day, you'll always bring your A game. Upgrade and outperform with Lesco. Visit siteone.com/Lesco today to learn more.
Hello, it's Marty. Are you interested in starting a lawn care business, but you're still struggling to learn the best workflow and even master the basics? Want to mow like a pro? Lawntrepreneur Academy is making available the How to Professionally Cut Grass training program. It includes 4 tutorial-style videos designed to help you learn the basics for mowing, trimming, edging, and blowing. If you've been wondering what's the most efficient way to cut grass and make the properties that you manage look as manicured as possible, then this economical $30 program is for you. Brian will teach you the basics of how to operate each piece of equipment, tips and tricks that he's mastered over the last decade, and even the best way to approach a lawn to make sure that you're turning your customers into raving fans. Now, these tutorial videos, they're great to share with anyone on your team that's got a smartphone or a tablet. Utilize them as tutorials, as e-training. With new hires on the team, you can ramp up the onboarding process by teaching new team members the best way to cut grass as a lawn care professional. Learn best practices. Whether you've mowed one lawn or 1,000 lawns, there's something to be learned in this fun and educational How to Professionally Cut Grass training program exclusively at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.